Hey guys, good morning. Today we are going to look at a primary source and determine the main idea of this primary source. Today the primary source is known as the Standard of Ur. It is a artifact that was found in the city of Ur. Um, it's about 5,000 years old. It's basically a wooden box, and it has pictures on all sides of it. There are two main sides. They call them war and peace. And we're going to talk about both sides today, but you are going to choose a portion of the peace side today. Tell me what is happening. What can you infer? What do you see? And then you're going to create your own standard of what's happening now with COVID-19. So, the city of Ur we talked about is in modern day Iraq. It would be located where the A is here in the modern city of Nasiriyah, but it was the city of Ur during the time it was known as Mesopotamia. As you can see here, it's close to the Persian Gulf and is near the Euphrates River and Tigris River where they meet. Uh, One of the most amazing things about the Standard of Ur is the evidence of trade with distant cultures. So it's made up of several different materials. It's made of wood that comes from modern day Turkey. It's made of lapis, which is found in an Afghanistan mine, and it's made of red limestone which only was able to be found in India at that time. So they're moving quite east and west of their locations to create this. There's also some evidence of shells that were gathered from the Persian Gulf, which would have come from them. They also made their own glue, something that they used to adhere all of these different pieces. So this is a great evidence of trade with other cultures, so we know uh, what was going on. Now here, this is the the peace side, and we believe that it shows a celebration. It shows a good example of social class. Of course, on the top of the social class, you have who appear to be very rich people. They are uh, pretty large too, and you can see some things like here. My mouse is over this individual. He's so big, he's breaking out of the frame. Um, this is the king. You can tell he's got better clothes on than others, and he's larger. Uh, Here we see some smaller people, and then some of these people are medium sized, and these people are sitting in chairs. They appear to be being served by the smaller people. So they're using size as a way to show social class. This second row here shows like a nice middle class. We see people here, they're generally happy. They have happy looking animals, which seem well taken care of. As we move down to the final one, people here look like they're kind of stressed out. They're carrying things on their back. Their animals are less well taken care of. They don't have nice fur or things on them. They look rough. This guy has his hand on his head. So there's a lot going on here that shows the different social classes. But this could also be a representation of time. We don't know enough about it. This could be people bringing food to the fest. This are those same people then coming to the fest, and this is the people once they arrive to the celebration. We don't know, but we're going to interpret this later on. Here again, showing the different social classes. This is just a close up of what I was talking about. We have these slaves or farmer class at the bottom here doing a lot of work. This guy and this guy are probably a slave because we see two people here who seem to be telling him to move, and he looks stressed out. He's got his hands on his head. He's carrying this thing. The animals here, we look like they don't look as happy or well taken care of as the animals in that middle row that we talked about. And here, everyone has a smile on their face. They look like they're standing up tall, happy. These people all carrying things, they look less happy. Then you get up to the top row, and we talked about the king who was so big, he's busting out of the frame. Everyone seems to have a drink in their hand. They're all sitting down, except for the servants, who are bringing food and drinks to them. So this seems to be a celebration on the top, or maybe this is just an illustration of daily life. That could be an interpretation. We talked about the king and how he's breaking out of the frame. That's how you can see him in this picture here. He also has better clothes. His chair is different. It's very ornate. It has like a animal leg and other legs. It's interesting. This is the standard of war, and I'm going to talk about what's happening here. This could also be a representation of time. Let me go back. You're going to notice some things like at the top here, you have the king and all of his knights behind him, and it looks like people are coming up to him with prisoners. Here we seem to have soldiers in a line. They're marching and then they're fighting and winning and then taking away prisoners. And then here you have chariots led with warriors on the backs. And as they ride, they are defeating their enemy. We see there's, goes from one to two, and then it's kind of a mess of people underneath the chariots as they win the war here. So when we break down a primary source, we want to see what do we observe. We're going to consider the images, the people, the objects, the actions that are inside. In most cases, like a photograph or an artifact, this happens to be an artifact of things that are happening. So we can look at the picture described in this mosaic. And I already kind of told you some of the things, but we can take closer looks at what's happening. You can even see the design of the chariot wheels. We can see the type of armor. We know that they wore helmets. There's definitely a war happening, and this can tell us a picture of the story here. So I'm going to consider the images here. I have the king. I have what appear to be warriors. I see technology being used and domestication of animals in the war. I see prisoners, and I see people who are killed in the war. What can I infer from that artifact? Well, I can infer that as each person moves forward across the middle of this middle row, it seems like time is passing. It looks like the soldiers are marching, and then here they're in a battle, and here they're collecting up prisoners, which then they bring up to the king in the top level. I also see the chariots riding in. Here, the warrior doesn't have his weapons out. Here, the warrior has his weapons out. Here, there are people, multiple people on the ground. This guy may even be cut in half. It's unsure. And then this final scene, you can barely even make out the people. They're just a mess as the chariots roll by. And there's very close construction. All of the chariot wheels look identical. Oh, and there you can see as time passes, it's moving this way. So what I'm going to have you do is you're going to pick apart from the standard of peace. I did the standard of war. I did the scene at the top. If we go back, you can see this scene up here where the king and he has a soldier behind him and they're bringing people. This scene here, and you're going to redraw it on a separate sheet of paper. This is my drawing. And then you're going to upload it to the form. So to show you really quickly, I believe this is the one. Yep. So you're going to come here. I put obviously my first name, Mr., last name, Brailsford, my home rooms, and then copy, redraw a small section or scene from the standard of on a sheet of paper. I'm going to click Add File, select File from my device. I'm not even doing this anymore, actually. Cancel. So I'm going to go to the form after I have drawn my drawing. I have the main idea of the primary source. I'm going to scroll down, put in my first name, obviously Mr., last name Brelsford, my home room. In this case, it's all of your home rooms, but you should only put the one that you are in. And there's the picture here. So you're going to find a spot in here similar to how I chose just the king and those prisoners. And you're going to redraw that section. Make sure that you can explain what you redrew. I'm going to add a file, select file from my device, go down. I happen to call it standard of drawing, I think. Now all the way down through all of my stuff. Here it is, standard of war drawing. I'm going to upload it. Good. It's uploading. The bar is moving. We're almost there. And perfect. So now my drawing is uploaded. I'm going to be very happy with myself and grade it well. I'm going to explain what I think is happening in the section I chose to redraw. I'm going to say prisoners were being brought to the king after the war. I'm going to go back and reread, just make sure what I put in was right, make sure I didn't type too fast. Prisoners were being brought to the king after the war. I have capital letter and a period. I have a complete sentence. Next thing I'm going to do is create a standard of my own of what it's like during COVID-19. So this could be distance learning, this could be going to the store and going outside, or how you have to stay home, all these things. But you're going to draw a picture, you're going to upload it similar to how I did, and then you're going to, in 1 to 2 sentences, explain what it was that you were doing in your picture. I was doing blah, 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 right? Or blog, apparently, because I threw a G in there. And then you would hit submit. Once you've done this, you'll get a thing. I think it's going to make me put something in here so that I can submit this. I'm just going to put in this map. Obviously, you should do your drawing and submit it. And then once it loads, I will put in something here so you can see what it looks like once you submit. Blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to hit submit. And it will, there it goes. Your response has been recorded. It's not going to give you a grade because I have to grade them because you're typing out and entering in files. The computer doesn't know how to make your drawings into a grade. So please be patient. I will grade it sometime before lunch tomorrow. Okay, guys, have a great day.